Um, Hello, yes, my name is Anna Mäkinen. I come from Finland and I'm Stella's mother. So Stella was born on the 1st of February 2001. We were just thrilled and she was absolutely lovely. You know, she was wonderful at that age. First seizure came, it was early spring. Stella was exactly 1 year and 2 months old. She was unconscious, she was seizing violently. She was grey, she looked dead, to be honest. I felt that she was dying. I didn't know what it was, I felt that she was dying. This is my perfect baby and there is something really, really wrong with her. But life was not the same anymore. We weren't safe. It just, we felt that, you know, that our life, as we knew it, it was gone. At the first time, Stella had the status epilepticus, so that this is a continuous seizure that continues over 10 minutes, but of course in her case it wasn't 10 minutes, but actually two weeks. She was put into the medically induced coma, which was traumatizing. I mean, she was on the verge of dying, and they are thinking of disconnecting her from all those machines. And I got completely hysterical. I was ready to fight with my hands. I said, there is no way you're coming close to my child. You're not doing anything there. You just... And then when she woke up from the coma eventually, so when they revived her and there wasn't the continuous seizure on anymore, so and then she started breathing. And she woke up, she just wasn't there anymore. She couldn't do anything. She couldn't even raise her hand. She couldn't focus her eyesight. She just... But we didn't care. We were just so happy that she survived. In terms of epilepsy, they also told us that, you know, now with all the tests and neuroimaging they've done during the process, they've actually located a spot in her brain where the seizures were coming from. And so they would start preparation for surgery. Very early on, we realized, okay, this is about locating this, and we also realized that, oh gosh, it might be in places that cannot be removed, because if you remove them, she will lose vital abilities, like, you know, you think of speech, you think of you know, motor skills, walking, using your hands, using your legs, eyesight, all of those things. So that was one surgery, and then, you know, very early on, it was actually on the same day after the surgery, and the seizures started again. And it was very clear to us after maybe the third surgery that although the team was very dedicated, that they didn't have experience with a case like Stella. Days went by, we were very often in the hospital. Stella got daily seizures from, like, you know, 1 to anything in the range of 50 to 100. They were big tonic-clonic seizures. She would you know, fall on the ground without any warning. She didn't have any prior sensation. Sometimes children have prior sensation of a coming seizure. She never had one. She just, you know, we had dramatic situations how she fell in a swimming pool, you know, on this hard tile floor, and almost hit her head. She you know, the seizure started on the stairs at home, and then my husband, she just flew from the stairs and he just caught her like that. It was There were, it was living on the edge. I don't know how you say that in English. I think for us it was living on the edge of death. It was like, so we were acutely aware she could die any moment. Fortunately, we are already living the internet age, so we just went on the internet. We went on the PubMed, which is a fantastic source, and we just went through the research and just looked for, and we realized, oh my gosh, this is much more complicated than we thought. You have to understand how the brain works. Oh my goodness, I don't really know that. We just bought some. We bought books on the Amazon, hundreds of euros if you think of that. But you just have to understand the basics. You really had to understand. Okay, what is the structure of the brain? How things work? Why? What is happening? What is the metabolism of the brain? What is epilepsy actually? In order to be able to read those pieces of research, you just had to first acquire the basic knowledge, and that knowledge from the secondary school wasn't enough. And then. I found some names. I remember the name of Dr. LaRusso. And there were lots of names. There were Dr. Cardinale's names, but we didn't somehow, from those publications, we didn't understand who was who. So we didn't know who was heading, who was a surgeon. We just didn't understand those things. But there was Dr. LaRusso's name, and there was a green light of, sending, a transcript of and a summary of Stella's data, medical data. And that, without any promises that they might have a look into it, but that we shouldn't be somehow counting too much on that, because in a case like Stella's, after 5 operations and 10 years of epilepsy, the chances are slim. And after a few days, we got a response. And that response was actually amazing. It was Dr. LaRusso who was responding. He said that they've looked into the case, they've looked into the documentation. They think that that this might be an opportunity to explore the procedure that is called stereo EEG. At that time, she was deteriorating very, very fast. She was 11 years old, but she was painfully thin. She couldn't eat much. She was constantly tired. She just mostly couldn't even go to school. And in the morning, she couldn't remember anything that she actually learned the previous day. It was apparent to us that her body was failing her, even though her brain might have been able to fight. It seemed that physically her body couldn't take the disease anymore. We felt that that this is the last chance of saving her.
Normally, in a cases so difficult and complicated as the case of Stella, the best thing is start again from the beginning.
It was clear from the beginning to us that it was needed to perform a stereoelectroencephalography long-term video monitoring. We used the stereotactic robot, the Neuromate, as planned before, and we reached successfully all the brain structures we wanted to. And it was the fundamental part of the surgery that allowed all our epileptologists to study at the best the original starting of the seizure and the spreading of the seizure that is important to know in order to plan the surgical resection.
So, on the basis of the results of the intracerebral exploration with the steerage electrodes, we propose a new surgical act which was targeting the remaining part of the frontal lobe, the anterior part of the insular cortex, and also a big portion of the left temporal lobe.
And they actually encouraged us to think about it, go home, calm down, get some distance and think about it. But Stella said no. She said, I don't want to go home. I want to get an operation. I want this epilepsy out of my head. And we talked at length with her about it. We felt at that point that although we were very convinced that yes, let's do it, but we also thought, let's go home, somehow get some distance and then come back. And she said, no, I don't want to go home. I want this epilepsy out of my head. She was only 11 years old, and she knew what it meant. She knew that it would be pain, that it would be brain surgery. She knew all the details, and she just said, yes, that's what I want to do it. The very first days after the surgery, and then we were watching her, minute by minute, hour by hour. We didn't dare to say even to each other that this looks good. We were afraid that if we say that, this will change. So we were just, looking at each other and thinking, yes, another hour, another day.
Seizure freedom was reached immediately after surgery. Obviously, surgical act was important, and the post-operatory period was not easy for the girl, but in fact, she has been dismissed 10 days after surgery, so with a normal post-operative period.
Her earlobes started to grow. Her nose started to grow. You could see how, bits and pieces of her body suddenly started to grow in our eyes. We were looking at her and were thinking, something is happening in her body. Suddenly, that power for living is not directed at keeping her alive, it is directed at growing her, developing her as a living child, a human child. So she grew already. She started to eat, so we started seeing, these strange things. She would eat the whole meal and then she wouldn't throw up. She wouldn't, and then she wanted to walk. And then she said that she wasn't tired. So it was actually minute by minute, day by day, there were, this strange new things coming.
The possibility of seizure to recur now are very limited. In medicine, all is possible, but now we can see that Stella is cured, and we hope to never see again a seizure. Neuromate represent the future of the steerage, a future that is actually already present, can give us the possibility to reach every part of the brain, apart the anatomical constraint. So in case as Stella, I think that this possibility makes the difference between the possibility to cure the patient or the risk to not be enough represented the part of the brain that we had to explore to cure the patient.
When they went back to Finland, they started to send us the good news about Stella's life, about new Stella's life, because as she says many times, she was born for the second time.
Lastly, I would like to say thank you to the team in Niguarda. I feel very humble about this. I think my words are not enough to express our gratitude. Our whole family has got new life, primarily Stella, of course, but we equally with her as parents. The heart and the empathy and the professionalism. I think this is what characterizes Niguarda. It's a special place, and they deserve and they will have our gratitude forever.
I'm Stella. I want to thank all my doctors and all the nurses who helped me in the hospital. I have a good life. I feel normal and happy.